This is it. This is what we practice for. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
There we go. We did good. We did good. We'll call the meeting to order. Thank you, everyone, for being here. And could we ask Assistant Chief Steve Shorts to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Steve. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Luevanos?
Here.
Councilmember Kavanaugh?
Here.
Councilmember Judge?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Litster?
Here.
Mayor Mashburn?
Here. Any items for agenda review?
Nothing from me.
How about you, Mr. City Attorney?
Nothing to report out.
Okay.
I move that all resolutions and ordinances presented tonight be read in title only and all further reading be waived.
Second.
Motion and second. Call for the vote.
The motion passes unanimously.
All right. Ready for 1C, declaration of conflict. If any member of the city council may have a conflict of interest or any reason why that member must abstain from consideration of any matter on this agenda, he or she should so declare at this time. Seeing none, we'll go to the next.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, the first item on the agenda is item 1D1, presentation of a proclamation declaring September 2022 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. And Assistant Chief Short is here to present this item.
Steve, you get to sit in the chair. There you go.
Hopefully the mic works.
Test.
Thank you.
Okay, first I'd like to read a proclamation declaring September 22, 2022 as Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. Whereas pediatric cancer is the leading cause of disease related to death for children, and annually more than 10,000 children across the country will be diagnosed with this tragic disease. And whereas September is set aside to honor all those who have been affected by this life-threatening illness, young people whose lives have been cut short, the loved ones who know the pain that pediatric cancer causes, and those that rally to support their friends and neighbors during difficult times. And whereas over the past 40 years, mortality rates for some types of pediatric cancers have declined by more than 50%. Thanks to significant advancements in research and treatment efforts, but no parent should suffer the loss of a child. And whereas pediatric cancer limits the dreams of too many children and deprives our community of their potential. Now, therefore, September 2022 is hereby proclaimed Childhood Cancer Awareness Month. In the city of Simi Valley, to remember the children who have been taken too soon and the families who have experienced devastating loss due to childhood cancer.
Thank you, Steve. I'd like to share with you that over my years with the fire service, we went on a regular basis to Children's Hospital in Los Angeles, where there's numerous victims, young, very young victims. And you go in there and to give platelets usually or blood in general. And first of all, if you so desire, do it, because they give you good cookies after you donate and a warm blanket to cover up with when you give platelets. But what's so amazing to me, the happiest people there are the victims. They're running up and down the hallways, they're carrying IVs with them, and they look to the future. And I think we are that future. So if you ever get the opportunity to give to this worthwhile cause, please do. Thank you, Steve. Councilmember Lou Evanos.
Thank you, Mayor. As we know, there is a higher incidence of cancers, childhood cancers here in Simi Valley, specifically because of the radiation due to the Santa Susana Field Lab meltdown. So I will make my comments brief for all those who have lost, and I have attended several of those funerals, your children to cancer, or for those of you who are supporting children who are fighting cancer, my heart is with you. Is the most difficult thing to do, to see your child fight cancer. I am a cancer survivor myself. I've been to many cancer walk here for American Cancer Society in Simi Valley, and it is heartbreaking to see the children there. So know that I will be requesting something at the end of the agenda for 10B. I can't talk about it now, for the city to facilitate lawsuits against Santa Susana Field Lab for the cleanup of that, so that our children do not continue to suffer from rare cancers like neuroblastoma caused by the radiation that Boeing has refused to clean up. Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, the next item on the agenda is item 1D2, presentation of a proclamation declaring the month of September 2022 as Emergency Preparedness Month. And Assistant Chief Schwartz is presenting this item as well, and receiving the proclamation are the disaster service workers.
Mayor Mashburn and members of the City Council, the City of Simi Valley has issued a proclamation declaring the month of September 2022 as Emergency Preparedness Month in the city. I will read the proclamation, and members of our Disaster Services Workers team will accept it on behalf of the Police Department. I will now ask the DSWs to please join us at the front of Council Chamber. I will now read the proclamation. Whereas September is Emergency Preparedness Month, which is an important opportunity for Simi Valley residents and businesses to build a culture of preparedness. And whereas Emergency Preparedness Month helps individuals take steps toward personal preparedness and ensures that households, workplaces, schools, institutions of higher learning, houses of worship, and community-based organizations are prepared for a disaster and to reduce fatalities and economic devastation following a major crisis. And whereas community members who complete community emergency response training will increase their preparedness, understand what types of disasters could happen in our community, whether man-made or natural, and stand ready to help their families and neighbors. And whereas emergency preparedness is the responsibility of every citizen in Simi Valley, and all citizens are urged to make preparedness a priority by visiting ready.gov for tools to prepare for disasters and emergencies of any type. And whereas participating in Emergency Preparedness Month activities will ensure that our Simi Valley becomes a leader in preparedness and contributes to our community's resilience. Now, therefore, the month of September 2022 is hereby proclaimed Emergency Preparedness Month in the city of Simi Valley, a time to prepare, to encourage all residents, businesses, and organizations to participate in preparedness activities and work toward creating a more resilient Simi Valley. Presented this 19th day of September 2022.
Thank you, Steve. Could you come up here with us for
Sure can.
pictures? So I think everybody knows by now that Simi Valley is not on big events for now. Big earthquakes, big winds, big fires. Fortunately, no big train crashes recently. That's way back in somebody else's day. They did have some. And even if you look up, you'll see aircraft going over each day. And fortunately, flight travel has elevated to the point that we don't see too much in the way of airplanes falling out of the sky. But it's very possible. And in 1949, right here in Santa Susana Mountains, we had an airliner crash. I don't remember that, thank goodness. It has to do with age. But at any rate, when these occurrences happen, like the big fires, the police department and the fire department can't do it all themselves. And that's what's so good about you first responders. I remember in the big earthquake, you're out doing, disconnecting gas lines to the house, fixing water heaters where possible, making things safe, or getting people out of their homes because it isn't safe. A very much needed service that we have here and that you provide. So with that, thank you very much.
Yeah, I'd just like to go ahead and say a couple words and mirror the mayor's comments. We couldn't do it without volunteers. These folks are kind of a force multiplier for us. And they take a great bit of their personal time to invest in training, setting up the equipment, and keeping everything prepared. And we really appreciate your commitment to the city. And we definitely love you on the Simi Valley team, as you guys know.
In the city of Simi and all the cities in Ventura County, we have a program called Cert, Community Emergency Response Training. They put on about twice a year. The next one will be around the February, March timeframe. It is free to you. It's 6 evenings and 1 Saturday. You do a little bit of work on the computer, and it'll teach you how to take care of yourself. If you can't take care of yourself after a disaster, how are you going to take care of your family and your friends? It teaches you basic medical, how to put together a survival kit, and what to do. I encourage you all to look into it, look up the Ventura County Fire Department website, and you can sign up over there. And the meetings are actually held here in Simi Valley for Simi Valley. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, may I make a comment, please? Over here.
Oh,
Sorry.
yes, you may.
Thank you. I just wanted to personally thank each and every one of you for all the volunteer time you put in. I am a Cert graduate. I also was on the DSW team for about a year. They kicked me off because I just was having too much fun. But no, it was a big commitment, and unfortunately, I just didn't have the time to do it. But like you all said, I encourage every single person in here to take this Cert class. I still have my bag and with all my tools in there and my hard hat and all the things I would need in an emergency in case something happens. And you kind of covered it in that we have a lot of first responders that live here in Simi Valley, but not enough to cover in case of a major earthquake. So you're going to have to take care of yourself, at least for the first 24 to 48 to 72 hours. So it's a great program, and the city offers it free, and it's a lot of fun. You'll meet new people. You'll learn a lot of things. And I know how to bandage the mayor next time he falls down. I can bandage him up. So thank you. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you, Dee Dee. I think. Again, thank you very much for your service.
Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, next item on the agenda is 1D3, presentation of a proclamation declaring the month of October 2022 as Filipino American History Month. And Ron Fuchiwaki is here to present this item, and accepting the proclamation is Joe Esmeralda and members from the St. Peter Claver Catholic Church.
Thank you, Lucy, and I Good evening, Mayor Mashmer and council members, and I would like to invite Joe and at the front here. I think we might need a wide-angle lens for this one. This evening's proclamation reads as follows. Whereas the first Filipinos were recorded in the continental United States on October 18, 1587, in what is now known as Morro Bay, California, and whereas Filipinos are the second largest Asian American community in the United States and the third largest racial group in California, and whereas Filipino Americans community has an unwavering faith in the promise of America and the potential offered to her people, and whereas the Board of Trustees of the Filipino American National Historical Society declared October 1992 as the first observance of Filipino American History Month, and whereas the City of Simi Valley expresses its gratitude to our Filipino American residents for sharing their rich culture, traditions, and history, and for making our community more vibrant. Now, therefore, the month of October 2022 is hereby proclaimed Filipino American History Month in the City of Simi Valley in honor of the immeasurable contributions of the Filipino Americans that enrich our community, presented this 19th day of September 2022.
So first, I'd like to say, recently, myself and Councilmember Judge attended a Filipino celebration, Hawaiian Day. I went out and bought a new Hawaiian shirt. And I stayed next to Joe most of the evening because Joe is one of the few people I'm taller than. So, but what I'd like to say is the diversity in this community is incredible. And the kindness that the Filipino community returns to this community is just immeasurable. It's astounding. And this city recognizes that, and we appreciate your participation and bringing us in to your church, your celebration, and allowing us to participate with you. I have to say, I tell everybody when I say, you got to come to a Filipino dance. At St. Peter Claver. I says, you won't believe they're not drinking. I said, they have so much fun. And with my wife and I were there, 2 years ago, they had me out dancing. And if anybody knows me very well, they know I don't dance. And it was quite a deal. But at any rate, we're very happy you're part of the community, very happy that you invite us into your community. And I must say, when you look up in the big sky and you see this beautiful home at Christmas time, this gentleman right here usually takes home the gold for the decoration. It's just incredible. So, would you like to say something, Joe?
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Filipino American Community Group of Simi Valley, it's an honor to be here. We would like to thank the City Mayor, Keith Mashburn, and the council members for proposing a resolution and proclaiming this month of October 2022 as Filipino American Community Day. So we highly appreciate it and very grateful for the honor. As the mayor said, Simi Valley has been so diverse now. We have so many ethnic group here, and we Filipinos are proud to be as one of them. Thank you.
Okay. Just to show a little of our unity. Oh, the city manager's doing his job. I forgot to hand this to you. Here's the proclamation. But if the rest of the council would come down so we can all get our photos taken with you. I think you're okay. Hey, so she said anything about Connie.
So I can say that too, if that comes up, or whatever you want to do. Or you can say, take it, just as long as it's close session.
I know.
Who messed with my chair?
I didn't do it.
There.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 3C1, informational presentation by Youth Council member Ashlyn Rowe. We have no speaker cards for item 2. Thank you.
Alrighty, good evening, Mayor Mashburn and members of the City Council. Thank you for inviting me to speak this evening. My name is Ashlyn Rowe, and I'm a senior at Simi Valley High School. Go Pioneers! I'm currently serving my 5th consecutive term on the Youth Council, and I'm honored to be your 2022-2023 Youth Council Chair. Tonight, I am reporting on what took place during our first 2 meetings of the new term, but before that, I would like to recap on what our Teen Crisis Resource Number Review and social media committees accomplished this past summer. The Teen Crisis Resource Number Review Committee members were responsible for reviewing and finalizing the crisis resource numbers that are printed on the back of all middle school and high school ID cards. I am very thankful for the committee members who took time out of their busy summers to prioritize the safety of students in Simi Valley. In addition, our social media committee continued to create informative and detailed posts about community events and important updates, as well as more entertainment-based posts, such as where our Youth Council members went on vacation this summer and more. The Youth Council would like to congratulate Ella McCrossan for being selected chair once again of the Social Media Committee and Abhishek Jagannathan for being selected as vice chair. We'd also like to give a special thank you to Abhishek for creating a detailed schedule of all our committee meetings on Google that will ensure that Youth Council starts out our term in an organized and efficient manner. During our first 2 busy meetings, we squeezed in a few icebreakers and activities to get acquainted with one another, but jumped right in with reviewing an overview of the Ralph M. Brown Act and the basics of parliamentary procedure. Our first action item was brainstorming and voting on our 2023 suicide prevention campaign. In just 2 short meetings, we planned our 4th annual rock painting night to be held this Friday evening from 6 to 7:30 p.m. in front of the library. We invite all community members to join us to paint rocks with inspirational messages and images to share throughout the city. We will supply the rocks and the painting supplies. These rocks will be painted and created in order to spread messages of hope and kindness and will be hidden in public parks throughout the city. If you find one, take a photo and tag us on Instagram at Simi Valley Youth Council. Please make sure to attend because our rock painting night has been a success every year and we hope to continue this tradition. On behalf of the Youth Council, I would like to share a big thank you to Simi Pacific Building Materials for generously donating rocks for our event. Additionally, Mayor Mashburn visited the Youth Council and discussed with us the importance and responsibility of knowing how Simi Valley functions. Mayor Mashburn also kindly thanked the Youth Council for all of our dedication and work and encouraged us to continue to serve the city. Rancho Simi Recreation and Park District's Recreation Coordinator, David DeMaio, also attended our meeting to discuss with us potential teen events that the Youth Council could host at the new Berrywood Teen Center. Youth Council members Abhishek Jagannathan and Ian are specifically interested in holding another escape room night in the future at the Teen Center. Finally, I would like to congratulate the following individuals on being elected as this term's Youth Council officers. Jacob Salvanera will be our treasurer. Ella McCrossan will serve as our secretary. Ian Nelson is our sergeant at arms. Abhishek Jagannathan is our vice chair. And I will be serving as this term's Youth Council chair. Congratulations to all, and I look to working with them and the rest of the Youth Council to accomplish some great things this term. Typically, Youth Council meetings are held the first and third Tuesday of each month during the school year. The next Youth Council meeting will be held on Tuesday, September 20th at 4:30 p.m. in the City Hall Community Room. Our meetings are public, so if anyone is interested, I highly encourage you to attend. Please be sure to follow the Youth Council on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook at Simi Valley Youth Council for original content and updates about our activities in the community and upcoming events. To conclude, I would like to thank Mayor Mashburn and the City Council again for having me here tonight. I would be happy to answer any questions you may have at this time. Thank you all and have a great night.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Litzker.
Thank you, Mayor. Actually, I just had to commend Ashlyn. I want to make sure people didn't miss the fact that this is her 5th consecutive year serving. And that speaks to tremendous work and effort for our community. And that means you started, if I did my math right, in 8th grade. Yeah. So middle school, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, she's now a senior. And that's years of chairing various different committees and doing much work for our community. And so thank you. I just wanted to say that and appreciate your willingness now to serve as the chair. And what that really means is that she has all this experience. And so watch out for the Youth Council this year. It means phenomenal things will continue to happen. And look forward to attending your rock event this Friday night. So thank you again, Ashlyn.
Councilmember Luevanos.
I, too, want to thank you, Ashlyn, for being here. I was started 4 years ago on Youth Council as the advisor, and I have seen you blossom. You were from this quiet, shy, not going to say much, I'm going in teacher mode here, but you have grown phenomenally. And to see you as chair of the Youth Council now is just, I'm beaming with pride right now because you just really have grown so much, and it's beautiful for me to see the growth that you have done in Youth Council and for you to take this leadership position now, knowing the kind of person you are, that you're always compassionate and willing to listen to others. And, it's just phenomenal. And if you need a letter of rec for college, you got 5 people up here. But I'm definitely offering myself up. I know that it is a wonderful opportunity to be on Youth Council, and you've seen all the different, variations of it. So I do have a question for you. So congratulations on being chair, before I forget. And my question for you is, are you guys planning a multicultural event again this year?
Oh, so I was actually the chair of the multicultural event that happened in May of 2021, but we are just gonna, tomorrow actually is our meeting, and we're gonna be working on our work plan. So I will definitely bring that up as one of our ideas that we can maybe focus on this year, because I think 2021 of May, it was really like, I feel like it really brought the community together after like just being on lockdown and COVID, and was a nice way for people to like get to know one another and from people from different backgrounds. So I'll definitely mention that tomorrow.
Okay, wonderful. And thank you for all the work that you have done for the past 4 years and this year, and thank all the youth council. I know it's extra time, especially for senior youth, college applications and everything, but it is very impressive for you to donate your time and energy, and thank you, Ms. Tignac, for leading them all and guiding them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ashland, first, I want to thank you for going to Simi High. There's a certain person up here that needs to hear how good the Pioneers are. But in reality, the work that the student council's doing with suicide prevention is becoming so much more important. It's always important, don't let me misstate that, but it's becoming so much more in front of us as we see what's happening with the drugs coming into our country, the fentanyl, and the work you're doing is going to make a huge impact on this city and on this state and this country. So keep up that good work. That's a very worthwhile project, in my opinion.
Thank you.
The other thing, if you happen to run for mayor, I'd like to be your campaign manager.
Wow, thank you. That's a big compliment.
No, the future is in people coming from the youth council, and I would be very happy to see you someday run for a seat up here. You're so good for the community, and we want to see that continue.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye. She's going to try to defend
No, I'm not going to defend myself, because obviously Simi Valley High School is now producing great students. So I just had to get that out there. Sorry about that. No. Congratulations on being selected as chair. I know it's a lot of work, and you'll do a great job, especially with all your experience. I am so sorry I'm going to miss the rock painting night. I'm going to be at a family wedding in Mexico, but otherwise I would be there. It's a lot of fun, and it was great the last time. I know Council Members Litster, or Mayor Pro Tem Litster, and Council Member Luevanos were there at the 1 year, and we just had a great time, and it was nice seeing all the people there, and some kids and some adults, and just it's a good thing. And suicide awareness is such a big, important thing to spread knowledge and information about. I've had suicides in my family, and so it hits home to a lot of people. So I admire the Youth Council for taking that project on, and every year, adding a little bit and doing a little bit more, and every other project you guys do. You guys do a great job. We're so proud of you, all of you, and congratulations. I know you're going to have a great senior year.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Why is this button?
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, the next item on the agenda is item 4, public statements. Since there are no public hearings under agenda item 5 this evening, agenda items 4 and 6 are combined this evening, and the City Council will hear all public statements under this agenda item 4. Agenda item number 4 and agenda item number 6 are the times allotted for public statements on all items other than public hearings, appointments, and informational reports. Speakers will be called on in the order in which their card was submitted to speak for this public statements item 4 for a period of no more than 3 minutes each. Persons addressing the City Council are requested to state their name and community of residence for the record. Mr. Mayor, we do have speaker cards. Unless you have any other comments, we can begin public statements.
No comments. First speaker.
Edwin Tingstrom.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, City Council members, and ladies and gentlemen. On the September 11th Ventura County Star, this question was surveyed. What worries you about the future of your city or Ventura County at large. The results, about 10% expressed concerns about divisiveness, including intolerance and the inability to debate issues in a reasonable way. They also asked a question and copied the results, and I shall quote the respondent. The reporter also quotes the Ventura County resident as saying, "I worry that misinformation from unreliable and extreme sources will influence an already divided community, and they are losing any hope of civil discourse." I share the respondent's concern because of my last experience with Simi Valley Public Library. I had contacted the library in May and talked to the young librarian and presented her with the topic I would like to present in forum on race and racism in America. It is an academic endeavor. She seemed enthusiastic. In fact, she gave me a date and a time in September to have this meeting. And I approached the Simi Valley Senior Center and asked if they would place a flyer advertising the presentation. At one point, a representative from the Simi Valley Library, I believe it was the director, came in and said, no, this isn't going to happen. She never talked to me. She never made it a point to call me before she did this. After I had gone there, she had then said, well, we can meet. We had a meeting, and she said that we have an image in Simi Valley that we must uphold. I don't know what the image was. She didn't clarify it. She's mentioned it more than once. Then I had a meeting with a representative from the mayor's office, the city manager's office, who was her boss, and she kept stating, well, we defer on the side of conservatism. Now, all debate is ended at that point. I cannot talk politics. I'm not a politician. I do not wish to be. But if a public meeting can be held in the library, if you pay for it, which was an option, but they wouldn't tell me how much it would cost, then they make the facility can either be rented or offered. What difference does it make? The topic is still the same. I wish to leave you in closing with one quote on American history. That quote is, history is not there for you to like or dislike. It is there for you to learn from. And if it offends you, so be it, better for it, because then you are less likely to repeat it.
Thank you.
It is not yours to erase or destroy. It belongs to all of us. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, council members.
Thank you.
D. Larkin Tingstrom. D.
I wasn't going to speak. No. Okay. She's my loyal supporter.
Thank you. Bill Saunders.
Good evening, members of the council, Mayor Mashburn, Bill Saunders. I'm a Simi Valley resident and member of the Rotary Club of Simi Sunset. My purpose of being here tonight is to thank you, Mayor Mashburn, especially Mayor Judge, for all the support that you guys gave us with running our beer fest this year. We raised more money than we were ever able to before, and all that money stays within our community with programs like Shoes for Little Souls, where we take underprivileged youth shopping at Kohl's, give them a budget to get their school clothes. Reading by 9, which is a program where we read to the kids of our schools with the purpose of making them literate by the age of 9. We supply books to local schools and all of that. We also give money to other nonprofits in our community, such as the YMCA, the Boys and Girl Scout, Boy Scouts of America, Girl Scouts, and so on and so forth. We cannot do this without the support of the city and our city council. You guys have been absolutely incredible to us. I thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you for helping us make this year's Beer Fest one of the most successful, actually the most successful beer fest that we've had in Simi Valley. Thank you.
Thank you.
Doug Bamforth.
Good evening. I'd like to talk about my usual subject, water. As the water restrictions increase and we keep losing more of our greenery and our trees and our foliage, what else does that affect? Air quality. Because the greenery helps clean up our air. Nothing is being done to increase our water supply. And I know that we have very little input on it down here at this level. However, higher up through the state level and federal level, there's really nothing being done. I think that we should have a moratorium on new construction until we can get enough water coming into our city so that we may be able to have a normal life. And I know it's not something that everybody likes, but I think it's something that needs to be required. You know, if the water keeps getting bad right now, we would need 600,000 bottles of water a day to take care of the residents of Simi Valley. That's a lot. You can see other places in the country, like in Michigan, they're having to have bottles of water because their pipes are bad, et cetera, and it's becoming an increasing problem. So I think we need to get ahead of this and start taking care of our own here. One other thing, I was happy to see that this is Cancer Month. Having lost my daughter at way before her time to cancer, and over the years suffered a lot. I think it's a very worthy thing, and to keep that awareness on people. It has an effect not only of the one who passes away, but their family, and so on down through. Lastly, in closing, hey, it's great seeing those young people here. I love it. It renews my faith. Trust me, it's not been good lately. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anya Abel.
Good evening, Mayor Mashburn and council members. My name is Anya Abel. I am a caseworker at the Samaritan Center, and I would like to share with you. I would like to share with you some important information about what we do at the Samaritan Center and how the community can help. I have been with the Samaritan Center for about 2 years. Currently, we have 2 caseworkers with a caseload of approximately 100 clients, with more people seeking services every day. 100 clients split between 2 caseworkers is not sustainable. The job takes a heavy toll from the entire staff at the center. Not only do we work,
We'd help, but I don't know.
Not only we work with unhoused people, but we also work with people who are struggling with substance abuse and mental health issues. This is very emotionally taxing, but it is doubly difficult when trying to navigate a lack of resources, shelters, and affordable housing for the people we serve. We foresee our current client number increasing, especially due to the lack of affordable housing in California, including Simi Valley. Since the COVID-19 pandemic, we have seen a steady rise in homelessness in this area, which made worse now that the eviction freezes are no longer in place. This grant would allow us to hire another caseworker, which would not only help us serve more people, but it would reduce the current caseload per caseworker to a supportable level. The best practice to tackle homelessness is to prevent homelessness from happening through client case management, emergency expense assistance such as car repair, utility, gas, and public transportation, medical expense assistance, emergency and or temporary housing such as motel room, room to rent, and camping vouchers, and also a funded city rental assistance program. For example, one of our clients was able to get into an affordable housing unit for $700 a month. Because of her low income and several unforeseen medical and other expenses, she couldn't afford to pay the deposit and first month's rent. Fortunately, at the time we had EFSB Phase 39 rental assistance funds that paid for the first 2 months, which enabled her to pay for the deposit and start paying off her debt. Due to the limited ESFB Phase 39 funds, however, we cannot provide anyone else. We also help someone with her car repair so she can continue working and enable her to rent a room again. Other times, clients are helped with getting guest cards, bus passes, and Uber rides to get to a job interview, doctor's appointment, classes, and so on. These are a few examples of the success stories in the recent months we had in either ending client homelessness or preventing client from becoming homeless. With the proposed I'm sorry. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Mary Portier.
Hello, Mayor Mashburn, City Council members. My name is Mary Portier, and for transparency purposes, I am running for mayor of Simi Valley. Taking care of our youth, that is very close to my heart. Our youth in Simi Valley, they're faced with homelessness, violence, victimization, drug misuse, and I'm very concerned about what I'm seeing in this community. It seems as if we're having a sort of missing generation. I am very worried, and I believe that a comprehensive coalition program will help our youth because it will focus on what they need. It will help the police department assess their department and find out what the kids need to be better and how can they serve them and take each case on a face-to-face basis. I have this book here, and this is an assessment tool that the police department can use to make sure that they're having all of the support and everything that they need to offer assistance to our youth. We really need this because we will help our youth. We will help all the youth in this city. Thank you so much. So I'm here to take any questions that you guys have.
Agenda by law, here's our attorney right here to make sure. We're not allowed to have a discussion with you about what you brought up tonight. We can only listen. So please understand we're not being rude by not having that discussion. We're staying with the law, the Brown Act.
And I can also supply the information to you guys by giving you the website. So if you need to know more about this, I'll be happy to supply you with the website.
Okay, great. And on our website, you can get each council member's email address too, if you'd rather do it that way and go to each one.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
John Lapper.
Good evening. Was I missed last week? I see I missed the usual bully pulpit response comments from Mayor Mashburn, along with his blame in the state of California for all of Simi Valley problems. I was going to speak on why I love Simi Valley, but some other issues have taken precedence. Old news first. Last meeting I attended, the mayor once again attacks my character by saying, if you're going to read the record, read it straight. My public records request came back with the following. Please be advised there are no responsive records as verified by the city attorney's office. This is information relative to the Santa Susana Field Lab cleanup and Boeing. No litigation by the city. Comments made by residents can be opinions or viewpoints. And for Mayor Mashburn and Councilman Judge to call me out from the dais as telling untruthful statements without any basis in my inability to respond is very unprofessional and unethical for our elected leaders. With a new mayor coming to town, I am hopeful that behavior will be a thing of the past. Last year, Councilman Mike Judge wrongly blocked me from approval as a volunteer on the Neighborhood Council District 4 over social media comments, along with now City Council candidate Rocky Rhodes, who stated he didn't want me representing him because of my viewpoints. After vetting by the council, I presume, I was still denied the position even though there was no social media posts of concern. I was denied the position because of my Democrat politics in town. Other Democrats in town have received the same retaliation. Supreme Court Justice John Roberts warned of such issues being a threat. On the subject of social media, resident and business owner in Simi posted several inflammatory, racist, and bigoted comments on local Facebook pages against Blacks, Chinese, and the gay community. Mr. Joe Robinson, or Joe's Place, is certainly entitled to his opinions and free speech, although it casts a shadow on our city when Councilman Mike Judge embraces Joe Robinson and accepts a $1,000 campaign contribution and endorsement from such an individual after the fact on September 14, 2022. When asked Councilman Judge to repudiate the inflammatory comments and return the campaign contribution, Mike Judge responded with laughing emojis. I am calling on Mike Judge to officially denounce Joe Robinson's Facebook comments and return the campaign contribution. I would also like to hear each of our Simi Valley Council members also denounce such comments by Joe as unacceptable. All have been emailed copies through public statements and hard copies presented. Lastly, I'm saddened to hear of the resignation of Police Chief Livingstone. I'm very happy for his retirement. Thank you for 34 years of service. You will be missed. This city does not deserve 16 years of Mike Judge as a councilman. Thank you.
Rocky Rhodes.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, City Council, Mr. Gabler, and staff. My name is Rocky Rhodes. I live in the Bridle Path area here in Simi Valley, and I am a candidate for City Council District 4. Before I speak on what I was going to speak about, I was excited to learn that it was Filipino History Awareness Month. I get to travel the world for my business, and just last month I got to visit the Philippines, and I can hands down say the people are some of the kindest people I've ever met, and that country was a very welcoming country. And so I got to visit there, and now I'm looking forward to engaging with the community here. But I came tonight to talk about item 9A and the awarding of a contract with the Samaritan Center utilizing the COVID-19 Community Relief Grant money. Please know that I do not represent the Samaritan Center, but I'm hoping to represent District 4, and the Samaritan Center is smack dab in the middle of District 4, and it's one of our crown jewels, not only for the district, but for the city. As you know, Simi Valley has an issue with the unhoused population. For the segment of the population that would like to improve their lot, the Samaritan Center is there for them. Some of the services provided by the center are case management services, which we just heard about, financial support, and food pantry services. Additionally, one program close to my heart is the PADS program that allows a warm place to sleep during the winter months for those who would need that service. And I've been honored to be a monitor several times, sleeping over with them, and I've actually befriended several from that community. These services are free to the clients, but they cost money to run. The programs are highly respectful of those that supply the money with good fiscal responsibility, whether by individual donations, our local tax dollars, or as in the case tonight, the relief dollars from outside of our community. Of immediate and pressing need is the food pantry infrastructure and the delivery vehicle used to gather the food products. If these don't get repairs and enhancements, services will suffer. So I enthusiastically support the passage of this community grant contract that will allow for some well-needed financial stability to one of the best organizations Simi has to offer that helps those that are in the most need. Thank you.
Thank you.
Matthew Doros.
I wish they would put that at the gate at the airport. And they would keep it honest. Okay, so most of you guys will guess, and there's whatever I'm here, but so for years, long-term regulations have been suspended for motorhome parking. They remain suspended. I don't really know why. They're suspended for some reason. I don't know what the something is that they are suspended for. But when these discussions first started, I think I was in 9th grade. I actually simply want to resolve regulations and written just really simple and basic guidelines. In other words, I think it's a lot more yuck is played into the mix, and it can be resolved with some really basic fundamentals. A motorhome needs to be stored in a manner and location that does not negatively impact other homeowners or the remainder of the neighborhood. It's an aesthetics. I could never say that, sorry. Okay, so motorhome owners should really be free to store their motorhomes on their property within simple guidelines. Many homes, in fact, all of them on most streets that I see, have a motorhome RV pad on the side of the garage or wherever it is. It's dedicated for that purpose. And you see the motorhomes neatly tucked in behind the gates. I have a neighbor on my street who went to the great lengths of getting city code enforcement to tell them that they were just golden and it wasn't a problem. When I called and talked to city code enforcement, the person I talked to looked at Google Earth and saw a huge bend in the road. That's my problem. Vehicular traffic and safety, as well as reasonable aesthetics for neighboring dwellings, it's important. On our street, we have a nursing home or a senior citizens home. People use this street for walking with walkers and wheelchairs and whatever. The recently administered or implemented ADU codes specify that an ADU needs to be set back 20 feet from the sidewalk. Motorhome is basically an ADU. It just has wheels on it. Oh, wow. Okay, so we will wrap this all up, and I guess this will be to be continued. One last two words I really want to emphasize: public safety. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, that was the last speaker.
Okay, we'll go to the next item and council member comments, and we'll start with Council Member Luevanos.
I'm going to go through this really fast because we do have a time limit under the Brown Act, so I apologize if I don't get to everyone. Mr. Tingstrom, I will be happy to personally sponsor your talk at the library. Just to let you know, I think it is important that we do have that discussion. In terms of the moratorium on new construction, Mr. Bamforth, we do have mandates. We do have construction projects that were approved. We have construction projects that were approved 12 years ago, 20 years ago, that still haven't been built. So we will tackle those issues. But we do know that high-density housing uses less water than single-family homes. That's a fact, and you can ask our Public Works Director, who's sitting right there. In terms of Mr. Rhodes, I personally find offense. I have worked with the unhoused population for over 25 years of my life for you to state that for the segment of the population that would like to improve their lives, I don't know anyone that is unhoused or on the brink of being unhoused that wouldn't like to improve their lives. So that's an insult for you to say that to the unhoused population. Mr. Doros, I agree with you. We do need to address the issue of motorhomes. I have asked repeatedly, time and time again, our city manager and my colleagues, why the motorhome regulations were suspended, and when we revisited them, why they weren't enforced. If we are a city of law and order, then why don't we do that? I agree with your statement that if ADUs require a 20-foot setback, then so should motorhomes. As our mayor has stated, many people use their motorhomes for living in during COVID. So thank you so much for that analysis. Thank you, everyone who came and spoke tonight. I'm sorry, one more quick comment. Mr. Lauber asked for us to publicly denounce the racist and xenophobic comments by Joe Robinson. So I would like to take the time as an individual to personally renounce the racist and xenophobic comments by Joe Robinson's against minorities in this community, and state that I do not agree with those, and I don't agree with anyone that takes money from people who promote racism, xenophobia, hate, which leads to violence in our community. Thank you, Mr. Lauber.
Okay. I usually go down to your last, usually. Okay. Go ahead, though. You jumped up there, so that's, yes.
Thank you, Mayor.
That's yes. You just surprised me.
Oh, okay, not a problem. I wanted to actually, first of all, thank all of the comments of obviously a lot of concerns from various citizens about many things, and clearly we have a vibrant community that is aware and needy of a lot of many good things that people are striving for. Mr. Tingstrom, I wanted to tell you how much I appreciate your service on the Council on Aging, that I know you have spent, Ed, you have spent many years doing lots of good, and so I just want to say thank you for all of that good service, and I'm sorry that there was misunderstanding and confusion. I know that your intentions are good, and so I wanted to just say thank you for your service. Mr. Sanders, I'm delighted for all that the Rotary Sunset Club is doing, and thank you for the funding. Thank you for what you're doing to support wonderful programs within our community, and so delighted that you keep doing what you're doing, and so thank you for visiting us and sharing that today. Mr. Bamforth, your concern about water is very valid, and we all share that concern. And the concern, of course, is that we can serve all we want, but ultimately we need more water. And there's lots of different ways that we can discuss that, and I think we will continue to have that discussion. One of the things that was mentioned in our last meeting that I mentioned at the very end is that the Delta Conveyance Project, it's now the draft EIR that would get more water down the California aquifer, and I think it would be appropriate, certainly for our community, for our city, to write a letter in support of that project so that we continue to get water to our community. Many other things could be said, but thank you again for all, and I look forward to discussing the grant for the Samaritan Center. We really appreciate your efforts in our community and want to be of support. So look forward to that discussion this evening. Thank you.
Councilmember Dee Kavanaugh.
Thank you. I'll be short because both my fellow council member and Mayor Pro Tem have pretty much covered everything, but thank you for everybody for coming out. There are always a lot of good comments by our community members, and I appreciate them. Mr. Doros, I've spoken to you on the phone, and the motorhome guidelines are being revisited and rewritten as we speak. That's why we pulled them the last time, because they needed to be adjusted to better fit our community needs. The comment about the 20 feet off the sidewalk, I know that's one of your concerns, is that they're right at the sidewalk. So that's something that we'll be looking at, I'm sure, just to make it safer for everybody else. Again, what do we want to be in Simi Valley? We want to be safe. And that's on our streets and on our sidewalks. So that's a good thing. So thank you for being here and coming and talking about that. And I know, oh, you're welcome. And I know we're going to be talking about the Samaritan Center later, so I'll hold off on that. Mr. Lapper, you always bring good points up, so thank you for being here. And looking, everyone else, basically thank you. Oh, Beer Fest. Okay, I'm in the noontime club. He's in the evening club. They now have a really good fundraiser, so congratulations. But I have been to your club, and it's a lot of fun. So they're a good group of people, and they raise. I was actually at your club when you did your allocations to all the nonprofits in town. So that was very interesting and very nice. So congratulations on that. And we have all individually and as a council, I think, denounced racism and anything along those lines more than once. So again, I'll repeat that. So anything against that, we are all against racism, and we'll stand up for it and do our best. And hopefully we will become a better community and less divisive and more tolerant of everybody, whether it's your views, your lifestyle, whatever, tolerance. And my favorite word these days is just be kind. So thank you.
Councilmember Judge.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to thank everybody for coming out and speaking. Bill, great news about the Rotary. I'm glad you guys made a lot of money on that. It's outstanding. I don't have to repeat what Dee Dee just said about the RV ordinance. It's coming back as soon as it gets cleared up and we get some stuff fixed in it. Ed, very sorry to hear what happened to you, whatever the misunderstanding was. I did leave you a phone message. I hope you got it. I mean, I'd love to talk to you about this more and get it cleared up. I also thank you for your service at the Senior Center and also your service to our country. John Lapper, I'm sorry that I live in your head, dude. Don't understand that. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Okay, guess it's my turn. I'm a little concerned about the library issue. My first thought is that it's the job of us to go to the city manager and ask him to look further into it. He is the one that makes the final call when it comes to personnel issues. It is not appropriate for council members or the mayor to do it, but we can certainly apply pressure, and mine will be to tell the city manager to take a look at this and see if there's something that we did wrong or the library did wrong, whatever, and come to a solution that will make everybody happy. Sometimes that's very hard, especially with the attitudes that are shown, even as some were shown here tonight, but yours wasn't. Thank you for talking to us the way you did, and we'll continue looking, I'm sure. Mr. Saunders, congratulations. I don't know who, but somebody drank all the beer before I did. We'll get even with them. Doug, once again, I've always agreed with you on your concerns with water. I don't understand fully the system. It takes so many stages and so many regulatory factions that get involved. It seems like it'd be pretty obvious. We need water. Is there any? Get it to us. And I agree with you. It certainly appears to me that the more building you do, the more water is used. And if we're running out, maybe we shouldn't be building. But there again, that goes to other authorities that will be looking at them, but we do have input, and we do put input in there. We do have people here at the city that participate in these upper level organizations that deal directly with the water companies and the people who actually get the water from Lake Oroville down here. And I just went to a recent water meeting, and it was recognized that we do have a problem with the size of the pipe, if you will, that comes through the Santa Susana Pass into our city. So maybe that's something they're going to be looking at. But we do care. And wherever we can apply pressure, we certainly will. I shouldn't have done this. I put next to your name, I'm sorry, Mayor Fortier? Okay, you're not mayor yet, so don't sound like I labeled you. But at any rate, I appreciate your comments. The children are our future. However, it may help you if you don't already understand, and I'm sure you do, that we're a separate entity of the schools, and we're a separate entity of the park district, and we should all be working together closer. And it's been my observation through my years on the council and as mayor that we don't work closely enough with the school district, and we do pretty good with the park district, but there's a lack of communications there. And instead of getting angry about it and calling people's names and racism and all this, we need to sit down as qualified Americans and determine what we can do to make things better. So I look forward to hearing from you on that. John Lapper, you're just the same book. Angry, not polite. That's why you're irrelevant. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. You're a strong man. Okay, next item.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 7, the consent calendar. And there are no resolutions for your consideration this evening.
Next item. Ooh, here we go, consent calendar. Anybody want to make a motion? Oh, no, hold on, no. Councilmember Luevanos, what numbers do you want to pull?
Thank you, Mayor. Oh, you read my mind. I would like to pull consent items 2 and 4.
2 and 4? Okay, and,
They're very quick questions, Mayor.
okay, Elaine?
Actually, what's interesting is I had still, that was from last time. I had not removed it. However, I was going to pull 4 simply because I wanted the opportunity to thank our Chief of Police, David Livingstone. And it was an opportunity to do so. But I don't need to pull anything. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so 2. Questions on 2?
Am I asking the city manager? Yes?
Myself or
Carolyn?
Assistant Administrative Services Director Johnson's also here.
Thank you. So here are my questions. On page 4 of the report, I'm looking at actually at the top and the bottom of the report, they both say page 4. It shows that our closing balance was 87.5 million, but our ending fair value was 85.1 million for an unrealized gain loss of 2.3 million. I realize that that's if we liquidated those assets, right? That would be the loss, but that's for the month of August, right? So that's the unrealized loss just in 1 month. Is that correct?
That is the loss on August 30th. That would be a loss as of August 31st if we were to liquidate everything.
Okay.
It's not a month-over-month change.
Okay, so that's the loss over how much period of time?
Since the assets were purchased,
Okay.
if everything were to be liquidated.
So I'm concerned because I looked at the page 6 of the report, which shows the loss, this $2.3 million loss is from corporate bonds, government agencies, and government bonds, with over 800,000 coming from corporate bonds, 828,000 from government agencies, and 702,000 from government bonds. Is there any way for us to mitigate this loss? That's my first question. And the second question is, how will the federal interest rate hikes impact us? Because it's been all over the news that they're going to raise interest rates again. So I'd like to know how this will impact us and how can we mitigate this loss for the future.
So the city has not lost any money. What this is interest rates have been going up. During the month of August, interest rates on bonds generally went up quite a bit, about 1%. So if we were to liquidate, if we wanted to sell all of our bonds, they wouldn't be as attractive to people. They would want to buy the new bonds at the higher rate. So we would have to discount our bonds in order to sell them. And if we were to sell everything, then we would end up with a loss. But we don't. We hold it to maturity. So we get the full principal dollar amount plus interest. So we do not lose anything.
That would be for the government bonds.
For all of these.
For all the bonds, for corporate bonds as well. So that loss, we don't ever lose money on those?
No, we hold them to maturity.
Okay, and that maturity is not set to occur anytime soon?
We have them coming up all the time. They're all on different cycles. All this backup has the maturity date written for each bond.
Okay, so there is potentially loss depending on the maturity.
If
No.
you sold them early.
If we sold them early before maturity.
If you liquidated the bonds before the maturity, there's a good chance you'll lose money on it, but we don't do that. We don't lose money.
Okay. But so we have no plan to mitigate any of these losses?
They're not losses.
Okay, but if we had to liquidate, there would be losses.
If we were to sell them today, we would lose money.
Okay.
There's no intent to sell them today.
Okay.
We will hold them until maturity.
Okay. I understand holding them till maturity, but there is still a loss. And last time we had this discussion about the investment reports, you had stated, Mr. Gabler, that there's a possibility of shifting around so that there is not so much loss. Because if there are changing maturity dates, then that means that potentially there could be a loss. We have asked for additional funding for roads, for water, for a number of issues that we've had to contend with as a city. And we have 9% retail vacancy rate. So I would just like for us to be prepared and be as fiscally responsible as possible as a city, should the occasion arise where we would have to liquidate some of those assets to cover the cost for the needs of the city.
Well, that's why we have varying maturities, so we would be able to liquidate
So we're
because
not,
we have varying maturities, you're going to have opportunities for money to come in.
okay, so let me just ask the question. So we're not going to touch this portfolio at all. We're just going to leave it. We're not going to manage it at all.
We
Can you
are
answer that
managing.
question? Yes?
We're absolutely managing our portfolio.
Okay, so we're going to leave it as it is?
And in addition to this, we have $140 million in cash.
Okay, and we're going to leave this portfolio as it is?
Yes.
As things mature, then we just let them mature as they mature, and then we buy something new.
Okay, so there's no shifting. Okay, thank you for answering that question.
And I just might add, Councilmember Levenlos, the only reason you would ever do that is if something catastrophic were to happen, and all of a sudden you needed access to $150 million or something. I don't know. I can't imagine what that event would be. But anyway, so the nature of this is just simply, my understanding is to show us where we have invested funds and what's happening with the market. But but we have a very conservative approach in that these are not stocks; they're bonds which have a maturity date.
No, I understand the concept. It's just that, Mexico City had a 7.6 earthquake today. Taiwan had a 7.7 earthquake yesterday. We have a very high probability of an earthquake here in Simi Valley because of where we are located geologically and geographically. So it is possible that we could have an emergency. It could be the water pipe that Mayor Mashburn was talking about. There could come an occasion where that might need to happen. I'm just trying to make sure that we're prepared.
Oh, I was just going to comment, if I could. I was just going to say, staggering the bonds is the way it's financially, fiscally, the best way to do it. It's been that way forever in economics and in banking. The other thing is if we were to have a catastrophic something happen, we also have federal government and backup to be there for us. I think our financials, the way they're handled, are done excellently. Haven't we received awards every year on how well we do our financials, our reporting?
The awards have been on the audit
It's
team.
my turn to speak, please. Thank you. I just wanted to compliment the fiscal department and Ms. Johnson on doing a great job and keeping us fiscally safe. Thank you.
Okay, Mayor, on page 1 of the report, it states that City Council directed that 2 City Council members participate in the interview process and provide advisory input to the selection of a candidate to fill the vacant at-will position for police chief. I do have a 4-year degree in criminal justice. I do have experience in law enforcement as a juvenile probation officer, and I have a law degree. So I would like to offer myself as one of the 2 City Council members to participate in that interview process. In addition to being the only minority on City Council and reflecting the diversity of the city, I would like to make sure that my voice in representation of those in the community is input by being one of the 2 City Council members. That is my request.
May I make a motion to approve items 1 through 4?
Second. Motion second. Call for the vote.
The motion passes unanimously. Mr. Mayor and members of the City Council, the next item on the agenda is 9A, approval of a COVID-19 Community Recovery Grant contract between the City of Simi Valley and the Samaritan Center of Simi Valley. And Kelly Tinker is here to present this item.
Good evening, Mayor Mashburn and members of the City Council. This evening for your consideration is the city's proposed contract with the Samaritan Center of Simi Valley as part of the COVID-19 Community Recovery Grant Program. As you know, under the American Rescue Plan Act, or ARPA, $15,325,294 were allocated to the city of Simi Valley. On May 9th, 2022, City Council approved the distribution of these funds to various projects in compliance with the ARPA final rule, which includes a funding allocation to the Samaritan Center of Simi Valley. $10 million of the ARPA funds were previously claimed as a standard deduction, and on August 22nd, 2022, City Council approved the claiming of an additional $3.7 million of the remaining balance as revenue loss, which is transferred to the general fund and are then expended as general fund monies and not ARPA funds. As a result, staff determined that distribution of these funds could be achieved through the creation of a COVID-19 Community Recovery Grant Program agreement. The Samaritan Center's request for financial assistance through the COVID-19 Community Recovery Grant Program addresses a variety of critical needs, either resulting from or exacerbated by the COVID-19 pandemic. Total funding for the Samaritan Center under the program will be $475,000 and will be distributed over the next 3 years per the attached funding budget proposal and used in addressing 3 primary need categories. Category 1, case management and support services, which will include additional caseworker and support personnel, COVID-19 safety office enhancements, and financial assistance for transportation and medical bill costs. Category 2, housing assistance, including emergency shelters, financial assistance for utility bills, and automotive repair costs. And Category 3, food pantry support, including a replacement vehicle for food rescue and distribution, drinking water and bottle refill station, pantry, HVAC system, food serving supplies and costs, and kitchen appliances. The Samaritan Center has identified that $102,000 will be required upon execution of the contract to meet immediate critical needs associated with food and shelter insecurities. The remaining balance will be dispersed over the proposed 3-year schedule, and staff will return to City Council annually to report on their progress and to reevaluate the distribution of funds and the corresponding needs at that time. Staff requests that City Council approve the COVID-19 Community Recovery Grant contract between the City of Simi Valley and the Samaritan Center of Simi Valley for a not-to-exceed amount of $475,000. This concludes staff's presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Yes, I am concerned because when I looked up the hours for the Samaritan Center, so I have several questions, so let me start with the first one. Will this, and I don't know if staff can answer it or if someone from Samaritan Center can come and answer this question, but I'm very concerned with accountability and stability. We know that Samaritan Center has had several different directors in the 4 years that I've been on City Council. So I am concerned about, is there going to be stable leadership at the Samaritan Center to make sure that there is accountability, that they will be able to give us the annual reports. So I don't know if you can speak to that, or if someone from Samaritan Center is here to speak to this.
Well, I think we are very confident that the Samaritan Center will be able to follow through on giving us the reporting information on a quarterly basis as they're required to do so. we're confident that they're able to follow through on that. There are representatives here from the Samaritan Center if you'd like to ask them directly. But
Yes, I would.
you can just introduce yourself, Annika.
Yeah, I'm Annika Zambi. I'm the executive director of the Samaritan Center. So yeah, I've only been there for a couple of months, but I'm planning to be in it for the long run, if you let me. So no, also on top of myself, we have a very steady board. Our executive board is very supportive of us. So if I'm not available, I have actually one executive board member with me, Doug Lanton. He is very instrumental in our grant applications as well. So anything financial, he will always have a second eye on it. We work on submissions together. We work on reporting together. So it's not going to be me. I have a board that supports me pretty well as well. And as said, I'm not going to leave.
Do you have an external evaluator that can provide, additional assurances? This is $475,000, almost $500,000, and we have a lot of nonprofits that do assist with our unhoused population. So I just want to make sure there's, again, that layer of accountability. This is taxpayer money. I agree with everything that Sammy's does, and I have donated and volunteered many times there through the Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts in a number of ways in the 20 years that I have lived here. But I am concerned about this accountability measure. So my question is, do you have an external evaluator to make sure that the submissions of the reporting is done accurately and neutrally?
This is probably something I need to ask Doug as well, if he wants to come up.
I believe the proposed plan, requires a reporting process. I think it was going to be quarterly. Excuse me. During that process, we're collecting receipts, time cards, ADP, if we use ADP for payroll, the evidence will be there. We're also going to, on the ARPA funds, make separate cost accounts. So that money is in a cost account by itself, separate from other grant funds that we have. So we should be able to show you very simply through P&L reports, whatever you request, where the funds are going. So it will be accountable. And if we run into areas where we want to maybe underrun one category, expand another, we'll be getting with, Brian's staff and saying, hey, there's more need here, less need here where we anticipated. Let's get together and work things out. So we've been working very closely with Brian and staff to come up with this plan that's reasonable, that meets all the different needs that are described in the proposal. That answer your question.
And this is also not the only grant that we're reporting against. So the Samaritan Center has experience in reporting on grants. So it's not a first time for us.
Right.
I guess
CDBG, for example.
Yeah.
So we've been also working with the city quite closely on reporting on that.
So do you guys know what an external evaluator is?
Yeah.
Or you have someone externally? And the reason I'm asking for that is specifically because there has been such a turnover in leadership at the Samaritan Center in the past 4 years. And if you have an external evaluator that sets the parameters of how do we know that this money is being used effectively? How do we know how many people are being served? How do we know, besides just submitting receipts internal? So, and most government entities do ask for external evaluators for funding, especially in this amount.
Excuse me, we'd like to have the city attorney speak right now.
Like Andy said.
If I can interrupt just for a second, Councilman Luevanos, I just want to, maybe if you haven't had a chance to look.
I just wanted an answer of yes or no, and no one has answered the question.
I'm going to see if I can help you with that. If you look at the contract that's proposed between the city and the Samaritan Center, provision number 5, we specifically included that there needs to be a performance report. The Samaritan Center or any future grantee would agree to submit to the city quarterly performance reports by the 10th of every month. And that also includes a financial audit where the city would have the option of inspecting, auditing all records The grantee or the Samaritan Center would also have financial responsibilities to appoint the name of a fiscal agent who will be responsible for financial and accounting activities and so forth. I can go on, but I just want to make sure you saw that this is all laid out in the contract.
Yes,
that the city
I know,
proposed.
but I didn't see mention of an external evaluator, which is why I'm asking that question.
Well, they have to submit that information, yes. And you have to decide that what's on agenda right now is approval, so they haven't been approved of this just yet.
Okay, so there is no external evaluator.
I don't know, but that's part of the requirements. And this, the agenda, what's agendized tonight is either approval of this. And so if it's approved, they would have to abide by the specific terms and conditions of the contract.
Okay, and if it doesn't, and if it's not included in those terms and conditions, then it won't be included.
It's included.
So where, can you show me where it says external evaluator? Because I didn't see that. I
Sure.
see exactly what board members talking about, submitting receipts and things like that. There will be a report.
The way
What
I
I'm
read it-
asking for is an external evaluator, so over the course of the 3 years, we will have some continuity of accountability.
I think the contract covers it. If you look at item number 7, the grantee will appoint and submit the name of a fiscal agent who will be responsible for the financial and accounting activities of the grantee. And remember, the city will have a chance for a financial audit and oversight. That's what I'm trying to say, that there is city oversight.
Okay, so that means that city will be using our city staff for implementation of that, for oversight, for fiscal oversight of this $475,000.
We review the performance reports that are submitted by the grantees.
Okay, but, okay, again, and the reason why I asked for an external evaluator is because we're giving, we the city, not me personally, but as a taxpayer, right? We the city are giving you guys the money, and then you guys are gonna tell us whether or not it's okay what you spent the money on. So an external evaluator would make sure that there is a neutral party. Does that make sense? And I didn't see it specifically in there, and that's why I asked if it was in there.
I don't believe it is in there, an external evaluator.
Would you be opposed if we inserted that to ask for an external evaluator? Just so that we have consistency. I hope that you're around, for the 3 years, for much, much longer, I really do. But I would just like some consistency of accountability.
No, it's understandable.
Yeah, personally, the way our organization works with the board that is stable of 13 people, a treasurer, the vice president, the president, is overseeing the director. Okay, the treasurer looks at every check that's written at the Samaritan Center. It is
I
the
think
oversight.
it's time that we have opinions and voices from the other council members, because this is an added cost, I would think. I can't.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But we're already having added costs by having the city overview, give an overview of the accounting. That's why an external evaluator would be.
You do that for any
good
grant. The city overviews every grant given. That's standard procedure.
So is an external evaluator.
Well, let me add, because I'm trying to understand your question and I'm trying to understand our attorney's comments. And I'm looking at fiscal responsibilities, page 6 of the document, 7A. Is that where's that? It says grantee will appoint and submit the name of a fiscal agent who will be responsible for the financial and accounting activities of grantee, including the receipt and disbursement of the grant. So what I'm hearing is that we have a board, and they maybe will assign this wonderful gentleman to be the person, or maybe there will be another volunteer who is a CPA who says, I'd be happy to do it. What I'm hearing you say is you don't want it to be anyone on the board, you want it to be somebody completely different. Is that
No,
what
I'm talking about the reporting. So when the reporting comes back to the city, we're gonna disperse $102,000 if it's approved tonight, and then the additional $373,000, right, over 3 years. That reporting that comes back to us, is there someone neutral that's giving that report so that it's consistent across the 3 years? That's what I'm asking for.
So I read it as you plugged in that because they've had a turnover, which they've had, but there's been, we can check with the city manager. I know the couple of turnovers, there was good communications between us and the Samaritan Center, and I don't understand why that would create a new level of the, whatever you called it, I'm sorry.
I would like consistency in the reporting over the 3 years. That's what I would like.
I don't think we would accept anything but that.
because in the past, when we've had reports from the Samaritan Center, they haven't always been consistent in disbursement of funds through different, pots of money that we've distributed. So, sometimes it's how many people will serve, sometimes it's how many meals were given, sometimes, does that make sense? I just want the same measurement of effectiveness. I have the floor, I'm asking questions on behalf of the taxpayers. Yes, if you've been paying attention to all of the meetings that we've been in the past 4 years, you would know that there is inconsistency of how people are being served. So I know accountability makes you very nervous, Councilmember Judge. But for me, on behalf of the taxpayers, I'm perfectly comfortable making sure that there's accountability. This is a lot of money, $475,000 to be given. We asked quite a bit of the free clinic in terms of accountability. I'm not asking for any less from the Samaritan Center.
I was going to
Okay.
ask if I could make comments.
Yes, you may.
I think
still
we've
have
cleared
other questions, Mayor.
I think we've cleared it up that there's not going to be an evaluator. The contract requires other things. But I just wanted to come out on the positive side of the Samaritan Center. I actually sat on the board in the late 90s of the Samaritan Center, and I've seen the growth and the stability of the center itself. You've handled your CDBG funds in a great way. The longevity of the Samaritan Center itself has been strong. It's been there. Well, I was in the early mid 90s, so it's been around. The city has always offered its support wherever it's needed because we can't do what the Samaritan Center does. So we need the Samaritan Center just as much as you need us. So it's a partnership, and that's what's going to make sure that things run smoothly. The growth it has been there, and you have a strong board. So I'm very comfortable with the proposal. So thank you.
Okay. Mike Judge.
I do have questions, not comments. Are we in the question part?
I think we have more questions from.
Do you guys, when you have your clients come in and work with you, do you give them some kind of, for lack of a better word, an ID card or something that says they're getting services from you, something like that? Anything?
No, but we could.
Because what I'm looking at here is I'm thinking of trying to find a way to incorporate the fact that right now, across the county, we're giving free bus rides to students. And I'm looking at a way to try to incorporate that with our homeless population and allowing them to have use of our buses too, with the stipulation that they're seeking services from you and you're sending them to job interviews and stuff like that. So if you guys got something like that, that'd be great. 'Cause it makes it a lot easier to identify who's who.
No, absolutely. All clients that are signed up with us, they go through an interview, they get vetted, so we fully sign them on. And what we absolutely can do is give them I'm a Samaritan Center ID card. And I actually did reach out to the transit manager before because I was like, if we would have ID cards, can we do something here?
Oh, I'd love to take credit for this idea, but it wasn't mine. It was actually, it was Rocky Road's idea, and he passed it on to me. And because I'm on the Ventura County Transportation Committee, I'm going to pass it on to them. So hopefully we can make this a countywide push. But we can definitely try to figure something out with the city manager's help at doing something here in Simi Valley for those folks.
Okay, so that's a subject that you just volunteered for the committee to
Sure.
go work with her. Thank you. Now we'll go back to the contract. And I think Councilmember Luevanos had more questions.
And I have some too, when you're ready.
I'm fine if Mayor Pro Tem wants to go. Councilwoman Lister wants to go next. And I'll go
You're up.
after.
I just called you.
Okay. Yes, I noticed that you're only open Tuesday through Thursday. So again, I'm putting the hat on of other nonprofits in the community. There is a need on the weekends. There is a need on Fridays, Saturdays, Sundays, Mondays for services as well. As a matter of fact, I've picked up fresh fruit with the Girl Scouts and tried to give donations on weekends, and I couldn't because I can't go give donations. So is this funding going to allow you to expand the hours of your services? I know it's going to help with caseworker management, and I understand the burden that you bear. 100 cases for 2 caseworkers is a lot. That's like a school district kind of
So our
deal.
main services are Mondays through to Thursday. We're also open Friday for lunch, and there are other places within the community. We have a community schedule where our unhoused people can go for meals. They're not going to go hungry on the weekends either. Our case management hours are officially Mondays through to Thursday from 9 till 2. That's when our case managers meet with clients, but they are actually there Mondays through to Thursday from 8 till 5, more or less. So it's a lot of paperwork they do on top of that. They sometimes do come in on Fridays because we are definitely understaffed, but we don't really have budget for it. And that's why our caseworkers currently work 4 days a week. It's only me who's actually 5 days a week.
Will this funding help? Is there any way you can, alternate so that you do and with this additional funding, I'm hoping that you could do maybe one caseworker Monday through Thursday and the other one Tuesday through Friday, because I know, and I've spoken to many unhoused people, that it's a burden for them to get there. The transportation is an issue. It's a burden for them to take a day off of work if they're imminently facing, being unhoused. So I would just like to see this money being spent in a way that would support the community. And before I finish tonight, I would like for you to give specific asks to the community of what the Samaritan Center needs. You mentioned Uber rides, things like that, for them to get to interviews or get there. But I have unhoused students. I know unhoused people in the community. And I know that is one of the criticisms of the Samaritan Center. It's like they're only open Monday, these 4 days a week, and I can't get there because I can't miss work, because then I'll be out of a job, and then I can't pay rent, and I'll be unhoused. So, it's a cycle. So that's why I'm asking, either shift the hours later or earlier in the morning. Is that a possibility?
Look, we are flexible, and if there is a need for someone, then please tell them to call us. Every person is different, and we try to work with every person. So the funding will fund a caseworker for 4 days, 32 hours. And yes, there's other ways we can look into. Actually, our caseworkers right now, they do 2 different shifts already. So one starts slightly earlier in the morning, the other works a bit later in the evening, that we can, and if there's emergencies, they are not shutting their door at 2, they're here until 5. When our clients come for dinners at 4 and there is someone that needs help, one of our caseworkers will be there to assist them. And right now, sometimes they are in on Fridays, but it's something we can look at right now. We're only open for lunch on Fridays. And this is due to us being a very small team. The Samaritan Center has over 60 volunteers every week that come and help us. And without them, we actually wouldn't exist, because we're just a handful of people trying to service a very big community. So yes, the funding will help to service more people, which times we can work with. And if there is someone who needs help, I'm there on Friday, and if I have to call a caseworker, I will.
Let me ask the city attorney a question. Excuse me, okay. Are we looking at a contract, or are we looking at how are we going to dictate how to run this? Is that part of this contract, is to tell them what hours we want them working and what the pay is going to be, or can we get on with the contract?
Well, the straight answer to your question is no. I have a comfort level with the contract as far as the auditing and the review and the periodic payments. I have no discomfort with it, and I would have faith in that.
No, I understand that, but I don't want to know how many wagons they buy to pull to the market. Only they would know how many.
I agree with that.
Okay, so let's get to the subject.
Which is, of course, whether or not the council wants to grant this particular entity the grant.
If I may ask one more question, Mayor.
Yes.
For those, you mentioned that you're not open on the weekends. If you don't shift your hours at all with this additional funding, what would you say to the other nonprofits that are not receiving this $475,000 that do help the unhoused, of why Samaritan Center should get this funding and they shouldn't?
There are a lot of nonprofits in Simi Valley, and everyone works in different ways. I mean, I can only really speak to us. Of course, I want to network with all our nonprofits, and there is definitely something we can all work better together. If we have additional food, we try and share it. We don't want to throw it out, so we try and share with our other nonprofits if we can. If we have 10 boxes of bananas, we'll call around and we'll say, hey, do you need food? We have too much, we can't deal with it. So we do want to work with all our community, but we need the money. We've seen such a big increase in people coming in through the door every single day, and it's been growing the last 2 years due to COVID. And that money will help us help a lot more people. It won't solve anything, but it will go a long way. And yeah, we want to help, we want to do more, but of course we want to work and keep networking with our other nonprofits as well. It's important that we all work together as a team, and where we can work together and share, we will.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember, or Mayor Pro Tem Elaine.
Thank you, Mayor. First of all, I want to thank Annika. I want to make sure people are aware that she began as a volunteer herself with the Samaritan Center and has risen. So her experience with the Samaritan Center is beyond that of being the director. Yeah. She started as a volunteer, and she's seen the need, and she's willing to step up and run the show. And so I want to say thank you, and I appreciate our conversation a few weeks ago when you shared your vision about some of the things you would hope we could do. But I do have several questions with regards to this grant. In our staff report, it mentioned that right now you're servicing 87 clients in terms of providing case management, that there are currently 30 people on the waiting list. And so my question really is, first of all, what are they on the waiting list to receive case management? Is that why they're on the waiting list?
Yes, we're working through the wait list, and up until about just over a month ago, we only had one caseworker actually. Right. So yes, our wait list has grown. We're working on it. We're getting through it, but still, we see more people coming in the door every day, and even with 2 caseworkers. If you really want to work with a person, work on their goals, work on a plan on how to get housed, it's a lot of paperwork, and it takes a lot of time. And yes, we can feed everyone, and we will keep doing that. We offer showers to pre-clients that are still waiting for.
And that was going to be my question.
There is things we do that they don't have to wait for, but actually to talk to a caseworker and for them to have the time and the bandwidth to make a difference to someone's life. That's why we're having a wait list. But they won't go hungry.
Right.
We sign them up as pre-clients if they want to take a shower, for example, or do their laundry. So we do make exceptions there, and we will feed them, absolutely, even if they have to wait to speak to a caseworker.
Wonderful. And do you feel that this grant, particularly the funding that will go towards social worker case management, do you think that will help, that will allow you to remove that waiting list?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yes, I believe so.
Wonderful. And I guess I was going to ask what is your immediate priority, but would you say that is what, I mean?
Caseworker, absolutely yes. It is a immediate priority because we keep having people, we have to put people on the wait list because we just can't attend to them. But I mean, there are other priorities. Our truck is breaking down. I'm still surprised that it's actually still running. I refuse to drive it myself. I'm scared of it. So there is a few immediate needs, absolutely.
And knowing that this grant might be coming, I know there's been some discussion. Have you started the process of potentially interviewing for? I mean, what is the time frame to pick up this third case manager?
We actually have been interviewing people because there aren't that many people out there, and as part of our last round, we've been interviewing a lot of people already. So we have some people in mind that we will reach out to. So it's hopefully something that we can fill rather sooner than later because we have to. And it's hard to find good caseworkers. It's really, really hard.
Understood. Well, thank you for the work that you're doing. Appreciate it.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, may I make a motion?
Yes, you may.
Thank you. I move to approve the COVID-19 Community Recovery Grant contract between the City of Simi Valley and the Samaritan Center of Simi Valley for a not-to-exceed amount of $475,000.
Second.
I have a motion and second. Call for the vote.
The motion passes unanimously.
Thank you all very much. Will not disappoint you, I promise.
Thank you, Annika.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, next on the agenda is item 10A, City Council member reports.
Councilmember Luevanos.
Thank you, Mayor. It's going to be a short report because we were here just a week ago. On Wednesday, September 14th, I was actually at my school's back to school night. So for all of those of you that are back to school, and I know several of the schools in the area, elementary, middle, and high schools are now back to school, including Santa Susana High School, where my daughter attends. And we had, back to school night, got to meet all the teachers and everything at all the schools. So welcome back. On Thursday, September 15th, I attended the Area Water Agency event at the Ronald Reagan Library. We had an excellent speaker. His name is Eric Bolt. I actually brought my daughter with me because she's in AP Environmental Science, and I thought she would find the topic interesting, which she did. And the expert climatologist spoke about the mega drought to mega flood, specifically discussing the issue of climate change and global warming and how it's directly impacting us, and how we're having these atmospheric rivers, and why there's flooding in Las Vegas and there's flooding in Death Valley. And it seems odd, right, that we're having this mega drought and arguing about, where do we get enough water when there is a possibility of a mega drought. And we did have Sacramento flooded last Tuesday, in the 1800s. I can't even say 2 centuries ago. There is a very real possibility that might happen again. So we do have extreme weather that is, around. Obviously, we had a pressure dome of, for 10 days that was unprecedented in Southern California. So the possibility of that is very real, and he spoke to that very eloquently. Was very proud to see that our very own Joe Deacon is the president of AWA, which is really cool to see one of our own from Simi Valley up there. They did hand out an award as well to a long-term water activist. And, just so you know, we are all city council members, but we are also on the board of trustees for Municipal Water District number 8. So a lot of these water policy issues, they are within our hands. They are within the hands of us up here. We're not just city council members. We are also water board trustees, and we're also library board trustees. So they are issues, as Mr. Banforth had mentioned earlier, in terms of what can we do. And I will be bringing up at 10B a request to survey areas, survey businesses about using reclaimed water, because that is an important issue. There was a question that was asked by the audience at the Reagan Library for this water agency event about what can we do? What can we do to mitigate this extreme weather that is causing massive damage throughout our country and throughout the world, and causing all of these climate refugees? And he specifically mentioned lower greenhouse gases. So a lot of the initiatives that are coming down from the state of California, including recycled food, which I'm hoping, and I know the Samaritan Center is still here, that you partner with, our restaurants and our grocery stores to make sure that that food that would have been thrown away and causing greenhouse gases in our trash in our landfill is instead going to feed people who have that food insecurity and preventing them from being unhoused. So all those things are ways that we can reduce greenhouse gases. Using public transportation is another one, walking. So all those things, he mentioned specifically lowering greenhouse gases is how we prevent this climate change from being so exorbitant. On Sunday, September 18th, this was my Girl Scout hat, my Councilwoman Girl Scout hat. I went to the Girl Scout, Simi Valley Girl Scout meet and greet. It was right here at Lemon Park down the street, and there were a bunch of, so cute. Oh my gosh, you haven't seen the little Girl Scouts, but they're like from 6 years old all the way up to seniors in high school, and they all got to meet each other. And it's like the first time since the pandemic we've gotten together as Girl Scout troops. We don't have cookies yet, but we are going to start selling nuts and candy next week. So find your local Girl Scout. If you don't know one, come talk to me. I'll send you to a troop. And please support the Girl Scouts. They really make dreams come true for a lot of the girls. They do have scholarship programs, and they encourage our girls to be leaders, to be self-confident, and a lot of them go on to be businesswomen. So I encourage you to support the Girl Scouts. And my last comment is there was, in fact, a major earthquake in Taiwan yesterday, 7.7, a major earthquake in Mexico, in Michoacan, where I have a lot of family, a 7.6 today, where at least one person was reported as killed because of the earthquake. So I'm really glad for our certificates. I don't know how to say that name. Our Cert trainees, graduates. Is that the word? Yeah, our DSW graduates. But I do suggest today they were actually having a drill. It was a nationwide drill in Mexico, just like we have the safe earthquake drill here in California. They were having a nationwide one in Mexico today. Literally an hour after that drill, that nationwide earthquake drill in Mexico is when the actual earthquake happened. And this is the third time that an earthquake happens in Mexico on September 19th. So I don't know what's up with the date, but please pray for those that are in Mexico that are trapped in buildings and hope that they're okay, and those in Taiwan as well. And please be prepared. And CERT training is going to be offered soon, I heard. Yes? So that you can be prepared too. Thank you, Mayor. That's my report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On Thursday, September 15th, I attended the grand opening of Elvira's Mexican Grill. That place is located by the 7-Eleven on Erringer and Cochran, just behind the Chevron station. It used to be another Mexican restaurant before that, and before that it was a Cajun place. So you may remember it from those places. If you had a chance, give them a try. Great food, great people. On Friday, September 16th, I attended the grand opening of Cafe Noor, right over here across the street on Tappa Canyon. Brand new Middle Eastern, Mediterranean style food place. Another thing, great people, great, it looks like their place is very high tech. If you get a chance, give them a try. Remember, try to keep everything, if you're able, shop Simi first. Friday, September 16th, I was also glad to attend the National POW MIA Recognition Day at the VFW Museum of Military History in our town center. It was put on by the VFW and our American Legion and our DAV. Great program. Keep those folks in your memories. Saturday, September 17th, I attended, along with the mayor, the Eagle Scout Court of Honor at our town center in our community room for, I forgot the names of the kids. Yeah, Kelly, Alex Kelly, and what's Joshua's last name? I can't remember. Anyways, great to see new Eagle Scouts. It was an outstanding program. I love the room was packed. That was the most packed Eagle Court of Honor I've been to in a while. After that, I attended the Black, White, and Blue Jean Barn Dance put on by the Kiwanis over at our Strathern Park. You start to feel really old when you go to a museum, and they've got two buildings on the property, one where you were baptized, another one where you used to get your hair cut. Yeah. That's my report.
Thank you. Mine is also short. In case you didn't notice, we have had a meeting 2 Mondays in a row, and that's because I'm going to be out of town the next Monday. Yes, I'm going to Tulum, Mexico for a family wedding. So congratulations to my niece, Tori, and her fiance, Dale. So on Thursday, September 15th, I had my monthly EDC Economic Development Collaborative board meeting. We had a lot of things on the agenda. The EDC is doing wonderful things, but the best thing on the agenda was I had to recuse myself. It was a contract with the city of Simi Valley for business loans using ARPA money. So the EDC will be handling loans for us because they have the expertise, and our local businesses will be able to apply for those loans and also get all the free help they need, whether it's with a business plan, whether it's with accounting, whether it's with they even have an import-export international expert on the team. So you can get whatever help you need from the EDC. June, it's good to see you always supporting youth again. So thank you. And then I wanted to make an announcement. This Saturday, I won't be in town, but for those of you that will, the Port of Hueneme is having the annual Banana Festival, and it's free. In case you didn't know, we are the number one, our Port of Hueneme is the number one banana importer in the country. So you don't think our little port is doing that well, but it does fantastic. I keep saying we need a port here. It makes a lot of money. Might we don't have enough water to even get in the arroyo, let alone to get a port here. So, but I wanted to make sure everyone knew that it's free. It's from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. And it's the Banana Festival. There's going to be a lot of different music. There's banana treats. They're going to have a drum circle, and they're also having amazing cars. And they were making the biggest play on it. It's a nice, cool ocean breeze, so you can enjoy the day there. And it is actually a really interesting place. Is our port. So that's it for me, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Mayor. Starting with last Monday, I know that Councilmember Judge and I both attended the Council on Aging meeting. I didn't mention it last Monday, but I wanted just to reference it this week. Ed Mazika, who is the head or one of the chairs of the food programs, let me be more specific. He's a senior nutrition liaison. I should give him the correct title. He shared some of the numbers that of food that is provided for our seniors, and he shared them for 2021, and I just think it's really commendable. I wanted to share it this evening. 40,150 home-delivered meals in 2021, 37,328 congregate meals, which are either there here in person or grab and go. Truly tremendous numbers of people who are serviced, and the average of about 120 weekly senior share grocery bag recipients. And so I just want to say thank you to the Senior Center and what they are doing for helping to feed those, our seniors. Tuesday, September 13th, I had the privilege of meeting with PAC 3663, den number 5. Leslie Newbill is one of their leaders here at the City Council chambers. They were interested in working on one of their requirements to know more about city government. It was delightful to bring him into this room, although the school board was meeting, so we just snuck in the back and kind of waved and saw what was going on and had a delightful meeting with them. And I wanted to thank actually Sue Klepper, our executive assistant, who she did so much and stayed extra time to help facilitate their arrival. And then also a thank you to our own attorney, David Caceres, who, when I was giving them a tour of our law library, did you know that the city has a law library tucked back there? It's a lovely little place. But when I was giving them a tour, I think he heard what I was saying, and he quickly came out of his office to add extra professionalism and information. So thank you, David.
You're very
Which
welcome.
also tells you he was working late hours, because that was about 6:30, 7 o'clock at night on that evening. So thank you, David. Much appreciated. Thursday, September 15th, I too joined Councilmember Judge at the ribbon cutting for Elvira's Mexican Grill. And Friday, September 6th, also joined him for the ribbon cutting of Cafe Noir. I will tell you, both are wonderful new restaurants in our community, really delightful. And I will also say that at Cafe Noir, I did mention that City Hall is really kitty corner across the street, and that likely there would be some city employees who would absolutely want to sample their amazing fresh, walking distance, amazing fresh offerings. But both are wonderful additions to our community. The last thing I will mention is that I too attended the AWA 27th Annual Member and Policymakers Recognition reception. And Councilmember Lovanos covered much of the content that was shared there. But I also wanted to recognize that one of the very first people that was recognized at the evening was former Councilmember Sandy Webb, who from Simi Valley, who was credited with starting this annual event that truly tries to bring policymakers with water purveyors so that there is awareness and working together to solve some of these water issues that are so prevalent. And so anyway, just wanted to recognize that our own City Council member, Sandy Webb, was the one that got this meeting started, and she was so recognized. And so, so thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Thursday, September 15th. Got that switch on. I went to Elvita's Mexican Grill, the grand opening. Excellent food. I really recommend anyone to give it a try. Been there 2 or 3 times now. Exceptionally good Mexican food, and in an area that you wouldn't normally think of a super good restaurant. So don't let the area scare you. Go in and have a good Mexican dinner. I too went to the AWA membership and policymaker reception and listened to the same speech given that Councilmember Luevanos and Mayor Pro Tem Litster gave, or the report that she gave. I came away with the same information, so not a whole lot to add to it. I will say, one thing that I really like about their event, they get it done. They get it done. They get to the point, they talk to the point, and they say, thank you very much, and you're done. It was really good watching that. From there, let's see, I did the Eagle Scout Court of Honor, and Councilmember Judge was right. We had a full house. There had to be at least 100 people there for these two young men, and it was a great program they put on, and it's really exciting, just like looking at our youth council. You're looking at Boy Scouts who are moving up I guess their ladder of command, because they've reached the top at Eagle Scout, but very, very impressive program, and was happy to see them and be there for the city, representing the city. And that's it. So, next item is 10B.
I have two requests, Mayor.
Okay.
In honor of Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, I would like the city to request an independent study of radiation from Santa Susana Field Lab to help facilitate lawsuits from Simi Valley families who have lost children to cancer and to prevent more families from losing children to cancer. So I guess the possibility of how we would be able to support families that have lost their children to cancer, and so that they won't lose them again.
So sorry, Councilmember Luevanos, could you repeat that request?
Yes, I have it written here. In honor of Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, I would like the city to request an independent study, or I guess a staff report, on the possibility of us doing an independent study of radiation from Santa Susana Field Lab on to facilitate lawsuits from Simi Valley families who have lost children to cancer.
Okay, we'll need a second on that. I have a question. For years, I've heard about the studies that indicate there's, they call it, areas of high activity of cancer.
Cancer clusters.
Cancer clusters, correct, thank you. And are they not doing studies?
The recent litigation that happened placed a very high burden of proof on Simi Valley families and other families impacted by cancer to have, in order to move forward in lawsuits against the polluters. I am asking for us as a city to help, to look into the possibility of facilitating an independent study of that radiation on the cancer clusters. And there was a resurgence of those cancer clusters during the Woolsey fire. And now with the lack of rain that we have had, we are seeing more cancers, including high school students, one of whom is traveling to Washington, D.C. at the end of this month because she has neuroblastoma, which is a cancer specifically caused by exposure to radiation. So that's what I'm asking for, a report in the future agenda of how we can help facilitate that independent study to prevent those cancer clusters in our children.
I know you're thinking of saying something. The question I have is not whether, we have to be very careful here, or I feel I do. It's not whether the Santa Susana Field Lab should be cleaned up or not. It's, I don't understand your question to us to start doing research on cancer clusters.
No, for us to fund.
For us to fund it.
for us to look for a way, either a grant or a way for, we're not going to do the research, but for someone else to measure the radiation so that our residents have a path forward legally. Because right now they don't.
Yeah, good point. I would ask for a complete collection of, because this happened in whatever year, it doesn't matter. But the collection of all the reports that have been provided so far over the years, and then we could look at them and see what we're actually asking for.
Even if we could do that, that would help our residents move forward with litigation, because the cost of those reports is very expensive, as we know.
Okay. Can staff look into that?
Yeah, we can sort of look and see what's out there. I mean, we're just certainly not the experts, but we can do some research and figure out what is currently out there and compile some information provided to the council.
Yeah, and check with the folks that are allegedly doing the cleanup.
Yeah, so we'll
see where they are on that type of thing, because that obviously it's a big question and a needed answer.
Yeah, I mean,
but we're not the people to do it.
We're not do it, and you have to figure out what moment of time you're actually measuring and when the studies were done. So we'll do some research and figure out what's out there, and we'll send it to the council. We'll send it to you, and then we'll take it from there.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor. My second request is actually an idea that you gave me from the last meeting. You stated that earlier we had, at a certain point in time, unbeknownst to me, that there was a survey of local businesses in the area to see whether or not they would want to use reclaimed water. So my request is if we can do a more current survey, since it's at least more than 4 years old, because I've never heard of it, another survey for local businesses in the area of whether or not they would want to use reclaimed water, specifically in the areas where repaving is taking place around the city, so that we save the expenses of tearing up the roads, since they're already going to be repaved, for those who do want reclaimed water. Does that make sense?
Yes, but let me clarify. So we surveyed the businesses along going up south on Madera Road, because that's where the pipeline would run, and there weren't enough takers to even come close to paying for the project.
But when did that happen?
2017 or 18. Even if we were to, we could certainly survey. The problem is that this is a multi-year project. It's not something, just because we're doing Madera Road today doesn't mean it's going to happen today.
No, I understand that. But
This would take over a decade to build this project.
if we had the data at least, and we said, hey, 99% of our local businesses want reclaimed water, state of California, will you give us some money for this? Then at least we have the data. Does that make sense?
We couldn't even get it to 99% of our businesses. Again, where the water is at 600 feet elevation. The other end of town is at 1,200 feet elevation. It's incredibly expensive to move the water from one end of the city to the other.
Well, I didn't plan on where the
I'm
water treatment
just-
center was going to
I'm-
be. I was on city council then.
Yeah,
But
it
I
is-
would at the very least like a survey. I'm sure it's not expensive to, you could just Survey Monkey for free, on which local businesses would be interested in reclaimed water. And then at least we can take that to the state of California and say, hey, we are interested in this. We are looking for water sources for businesses and for our residents. So that's all I'm asking for, a survey for local businesses of who would be interested in using reclaimed water.
I just don't want to set false expectations. We would not be able to provide that to them for a decade. And it's just to be honest.
But we have to plan for the long term. We can't just plan for tomorrow.
That's fine. I just don't want to set any false expectations.
We have to start somewhere, and the data would help us.
So I have a question about that, because I understand. I mean, I see the value in asking in providing that data. Obviously, if you were to ask a business that question, there'd be the question of cost associated with it, and so I don't know if that can or could be part of the survey.
It would have to be.
Well, yeah, there's a cost involved. There's also a use involved.
Sure.
It's not your average business that would take recycled water. You can't drink it.
It's not potable.
You can irrigate with it, but that's about it. So it's not,
So you would have to be clear in the asking that what the potential ask is.
I mean,
That
it's
this is
essentially-
non-potable.
it's water
reclaimed-
essentially used for irrigation, and there are some businesses like concrete plants that are currently using it for manufacturing process. That's the only things you can do with it.
And we have dozens of parks and dozens of schools that all have green spaces.
Let me do this. I will send you the last two reports that went to the council that described the project and where and how it ended, and then we can take it from there. Because that'll give you a better understanding of the work we've already done on it. We've done extensive amount of work on running that pipeline.
I know,
as I said,
it's
you'll-
just that wasn't during we're in the middle of a mega drought. This is an unprecedented drought. Every climatologist, including Eric Bolt, has stated this is an unprecedented drought. And every other city in Orange County, in San Diego, in Sacramento, they are looking at this, at reclaimed water, and they're already using it.
Yes, they are, but their infrastructure is different than what we have here.
What I'm hearing is I think if we got that report, that would help.
I can ask both of you a quick question. With the speech given at AWA, he said we could end up in a mega drought, I thought. He didn't say we were in one. You just said we're in a mega drought.
Yeah, we have been. Every climatologist, just Google it. We are in a mega drought. We have been.
I didn't think he said that. I think he was warning us we're headed for one.
The title of the brochure was From Mega Drought to Mega Flood.
Okay. If I'd listened better or something, but so I can't, I don't want to argue, that's not the point. I just wanted to check with you and see, because I don't want to put out anything that's not factual. And if that's
Yeah,
what,
I was actually tweeting during his speech because he had such great stuff, so you can check my Twitter feed and you'll see what he said.
No, that's fine.
I'm a pretty good secretary.
Thank you.
So yes, I would love to get those
We
surveys.
will send those out.
Thank you.
Okay, we're very fortunate tonight. That
Actually,
we don't have to, yes.
I was in the queue. There's a couple things I would like agendized, possibly, please. Two other comments, please, before we.
Oh, I see your name there.
Before we close, if you don't mind, Mayor.
Yeah, could you make it like short? Just say I wanted to agendize this?
Absolutely.
All right.
So after last week's discussion about sidewalk vending, and the information that we received from from David Caceres, our attorney, I much appreciated. What I sensed is that there is some ordinances that we should be exploring, looking at, and that was what I was alluding to. I thought we were already doing that a few months ago, but I would like to agendize that we look at tweaking our ordinances so that particularly what made me think of this is I visited two amazing restaurants this week who are struggling, who are going to put a lot of money into staying open. Want to be sure that we're doing all that we can to support our local restaurants and that sidewalk vendors are legally operating, if they are operating.
You'll have it next month.
Okay, so and it will be in the ordinance form.
Yep.
Excellent.
Well, we don't need an ordinance. There's already laws the police can enforce today. Writing an ordinance would take us 3 months.
Well, we've already drafted the ordinance. I spent the last couple of days last week tweaking it, and we should have it to you. We will have it to you next month.
Thank you.
With an ordinance ready for first reading.
Thank you very excellent. Second quick thing, very short. On August 8th, on the agenda, that's when I asked about our heroin task force, following up on it. I believe the response was that you were going to give us a report of where we stood on it.
Yes.
And the mayor had suggested that we would agendize it, particularly because of the fentanyl deaths that we've had in LA. My daughter just lost a friend in Thousand Oaks last week to fentanyl. I think that there is a need to really start looking at our community in that and revisiting that.
We're putting that report together.
Okay, thank you.
So nothing will go down.
So as long as that's coming, that's great. And I'd love the task force to maybe see what can be done. Thank you.
Okay, so once again, great evening. Thank you, everybody, for staying so long. I'm sure it wasn't all like, hey, great, that's wonderful stuff. But you stuck through it all and listened and appreciate it. And that's what it's all about, is getting involved in the community. So thank you very much for being here, and thank you for staying. And we're very fortunate tonight because we don't have to adjourn in memory of anybody from Simi Valley. In the last few meetings has been very busy that way. And I guess the only come close, it was, today was the final funeral for Queen Elizabeth II. And so now hopefully we can run without any adjourn in memory of for quite a while. So thank you for coming, and meeting's adjourned.